are aware. Guess I shouldn't have said that rude thing about Aaron then, huh?
Just a neat feature I didn't realize it was going to show. It tells us up in the corner that you're recording.
Yes.
So that's cool.
Privacy thing, so that's good. All right, so you guys can all see my screen now?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so I'm just going to click sign in. Everything is going really slow today, so we're going to have to be patient, which I'm not very good at, but we'll try. All right, and then I'm going to sign in with Google. All right, and so it shows all of the videos that I've made before. So if you've made some in Loom already, they'll be here for you to use. If you've already made one that you know you want to use, then all you have to do is click on that video to use it inside of Playposit. This is all pertaining to using things in Playposit. If you were just sharing it with the students and you just wanted to give them a link, you just hit copy link. But if you want to use it in Playposit, you need to download it to your computer. And so you would just click download down here at the bottom. And then it downloads it as an MP4, which will upload into Schoology. If you've not created one, let me go back. Up here at the top, it says new video. I just click new video. You can record just your screen or your screen and then your little image in the bottom corner that comes down here. And definitely check your mic first. You see how I'm getting the little squiggly line on the mic as I talk, and then that's kind of my little mic check. I'm not using a microphone or a headset right now, so I found that when I create videos without it, it's not the clearest, but it does work okay. I forgot my headset at school when we left because I didn't know I was going to need it for this long, and I haven't been back to school. So without a headset, it works. It's not amazing, but a headset or a mic is better. So as long as that's working, then you just hit start record. I don't know how this is going to work with me recording something else. It may or may not work. Okay, you get your countdown. Seems to be working. And then it's just going to record my whole screen. And down here in the corner, I can see me. And when I'm finished recording all of this, I just hit finish record, that little check mark. It's very simple. You just have that one start record. It records. In our Schoology training videos, there are a few little accessories and things that you can use on it so you can watch the full version of how to record. But it's very easy. You just hit start record and then the check mark when you're done recording, and then your video pops up, and then you just hit the download button. Was that too basic, or do you want me to go over that again? I can create another one. It's very easy. That's very easy. Good?
I think I might be good, but I'm not sure because I've never gotten to the point where I see the screen to show what I have created.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll be able to do that.
All right. Give it a try after this, John, or one day this week. And if you have problems, we can jump into a video and you can share your screen and we can try to troubleshoot what problems you have.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Sound good?
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, no problem.
Is there a webcam too that you can use with this?
What do you mean?
Well, you know, like on Screencastify, if you just want to show what you're doing and not show the screen, you can do that.
Yeah, that was one of the options on your video. Second, I'll go back. So when you hit new video, one of the options is camera only, so it'll just record you. Or you can just record your screen, or you can record yourself and the screen in the corner. So you pick whichever one is going to work best for what you're trying to teach.
Okay.
So if you just want it to be camera because you're doing a demo, then you would just hit camera.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So once you have a video downloaded onto your computer, you would need to go to Playposit to upload it and add the question. So that's what we're going to move towards. So for teachers to get to Playposit, you're going to go to Staff Bookmarks, the Clever, and you're going to enter through Clever. I Playposit that you guys need additional resources. Oops. All right, so everybody sees how to get there. Ignore this next part. I can't click there because I'm a division administrator, so that button doesn't work for me. So I'm going to pretend like I clicked there and it takes me to Playposit. Once you get into Playposit, you may or may not see all of this any created before because I've created a bunch, so I have a bunch. But yours might just be empty here, which is fine too. Does anyone see something that says something about clicking for classic mode or anything like that? Anybody see anything weird that asks them to do anything? Doesn't look like it. All right. So inside of Playposit, to create a new bulb, that's the point of this right now, is to put your videos in. But let me go down a rundown. So over here, it says on the left where our menu's at, it says My Bulbs. Bulbs in Playposit are videos. So anywhere it says bulb, it means video. So there's some vocabulary that's unique to Playposit that we'll have to get used to. And bulb is one of the ones that's kind of weird. So a bulb is a video. Folders I don't really mess with, although I'm getting to the point where my menu there, my actual My Bulbs are getting a little busy, so I might start creating some folders to put them in. But if you don't have a ton in there, then you don't really need folders, so I just haven't messed with it yet. Classes is where you're going to go to check on how the students did their work, which we'll come back to at the end. You do not need to create classes if you're going to use Playposit inside of Schoology, because it will create the classes automatically for you. So if I go to here, anyone that has an S for Schoology means that Schoology has created that class for me. I didn't have to do it. GRC doesn't use Schoology, so I have a different folder for them that I had to create. But using Schoology, you don't need to create any classes. It'll do it automatically. We'll come back to that at the end so that I can show you how to check the students that have done the Playposit. Pre-made bulbs are bulbs that have already been created that you can borrow from other people inside of Schoology. I don't know how many foreign language and tech teachers are using pre-made bulbs or using Schoology. But up here at the top, yours might say Salem High School. Because I have multiple high schools, mine says something different. So you can look at just teachers within the division and in your schools over here. And if I click on all Playposit, that's anybody who uses Playposit nationally, internationally, will show up in all Playposit. So these are ones that are already there. So if I wanted to go in, I could check and see if somebody has a French Playposit in there on whatever I needed to look for, or a cooking demo, or any of those things. I could do a search and look and see what's in there so that you don't have to recreate the wheel. So you can put it in and just put in a keyword. So if I was just looking for something that was a French video, I'm just going, oh, I have cap lock on. I'm going to keep it really broad to see what happens. You can make it as narrow as you want, and then filter and see what comes up.
I was using this over the weekend, and it does say on my screen like Virginia Beach Public Schools, and there were a couple for, you know, culinary-ish things, but I found more of them when I went into the all Playposits.
Yes, yes, there's definitely more if you go to all Playposit. So you can look at the ones that are already in here. If you see something that's intriguing and you want to see what it looks like, if you come over to the actions at the very end, the last column, and you get the 3 little dots, I can click preview, and I can preview that video and see if I like what's in it. And if I say, oh, that would work for something that we have coming up, then I can come down to copy and make a copy, and a copy of it will go into my bulbs so that I have a copy of it on my own to then edit and do what I'd like for my students and put. Sometimes there's questions already in there and you can like them and just use their questions. Sometimes there's no questions. Sometimes there's questions you don't like that you want to delete. But once you've copied it to your bulbs, that's your own copy and you can change it any way you want. Does that make sense? Did I lose half of you? No? Okay. So this is where you can come to see what's already inside of Playposit. I'm going to go back up to where it says My Bulbs. And we're going to work on bringing in a bulb of a video that I have created. All right, so up here it says add new bulb. That means add new video. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add a new video. So I'm going to click add bulb. One thing you'll notice that Playposit does that sometimes can be confusing is anytime you click on a new action, it actually opens, it opens a whole nother tab. So if I click back, my bulbs are there, but that new action I have created a new tab. So they can get confusing with the tabs that are open. So just so that you're aware. All right, there's a little tutorial here you can go through. I'm going to skip it and enter design mode. I don't think it's the internet, I think it's just the computer. All right, so once you're in here, we want to upload a video. So that Loom video that I just created would be uploading an MP4. So when you create your own videos, that's a Loom video that you had to download, you're going to click upload MP4. And then I'm clicking in that upload section, and it would be in my downloads. And this is, I have it sorted by day and time. So this is the MP4 that I just downloaded. That was a Venn diagram. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that. and click upload. You can also, if you have a YouTube video that you wanted to upload, you can also upload those as well. So there's my video that I created that it's uploaded. If I want to change the name over here, I can. Don't want all that extra stuff there. So once I have the title and I see that it's in all the way, I can click done, and it's going to bring in my video. Any questions about bringing the video in? All right, so once the video's in, I'm ready to add some interactions. So down here in the bottom corner, I'm just gonna hit play and let it start playing.
Hi, to quickly turn a graphic organizer that you normally do paper pencil into a digital tool, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna pull up your Word or your doc. You're going to snip the page.
Okay, so I like to just let it play and then listen to what is there. And then when I get to a point where I want to ask a question, then I stop the video and then click add an interaction. So this is now going to bring up so that the kids have to do something at this point. So you could have them answer a multiple choice question, fill in the blank, check all. So that would be multiple choice with more than one correct answer. You can take a poll, you could do free response, or you could do a discussion board. There are also some advanced options down here. Pause I like a lot because sometimes I'll use pause if I just want to say something or interject something into the video at this point. So if at this point there's something in particular that I want them to pay attention to, I might hit pause and say, make sure you're listening to how they changed the past tense of this verb to blah, 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 or make sure you pay attention to this step in the recipe because this is where most people make mistakes and this is where the recipe can go wrong. So if you want to just have a little pause there where you do an interjection that just gives them some highlight or point or something, pause is a great little spot to do that in to get their attention. You can also embed a website. Maybe at this point there's another video that you wanted to put in to kind of conjoin two different videos. You can do that. That's kind of a more advanced step, but that is a possibility. I'm just going to add a multiple choice here because it's kind of the easiest.
Can I ask a question about that web embed? Can that also be like an article or like a website? Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you wanted to put a website in, and you could put it in and say, here's another resource that you could use for this, or something like that.
Cool.
If getting into something more advanced and you want to direct kids back to this if they get a question wrong, you can also do that. So I'm just going to type anything in here. You type your question in. You can also do audio. So if at this point you want to ask the question and you want them to hear it in French or Spanish or Japanese, you can use audio. Or if you have kids that have read aloud and need read aloud accommodations, you can also do audio here. You can put a picture in. So I could put a picture in of a house and then the question can be, tell me what this is in French, you know, or something like that. So you can add a picture in there. For math, you could do math equations, and then there are some basic editing options here. So you would put your question in. You would put your multiple choice answers in. Again, if you want to use one of those, see how it told me I should think about that. Anyways, if you want to put other pictures in here, or if you ask the question, what is a house in Spanish, and then they had to pick the picture of a house, you can use all of those tools there as well. You can add more options, and then you click on which one is the right answer so that it's self-grading. So you want to make sure that you do that there. There are advanced options. Anytime you're doing a question, especially until you get really used to it, I always click advanced to see what other options there are. So interaction is required. If this is something that's not required, you're just asking like a rhetorical question and you don't really care if they answer it or not, you can take that off. But for the most part, the purpose of this is to get them to answer questions. So there's that. Interaction pauses. So this will pause the video while they answer it. You don't want it to keep going, and while they're thinking about that, then they're worried about, oh, what am I missing? So that is a default already on. Learners can rewind. So if this is something, especially for this point in this year, if we're just really trying to teach kids, if we're going to allow them to go back, I know sometimes when I do videos, you like kind of phase out for a second. You're like, oh no, I missed what they just said. Or, you know, if you click this, learners can rewind. If they get to this point and they realize I wasn't listening or I zoned out, it'll allow them rewind to go back and watch. Sorry, I'm getting emails that are super distracting while I'm trying to teach. It'll allow them to rewind, watch the video, and then come back to this question if they missed the information. So I think that's pretty important right now if we're teaching, using this as a teaching tool, not as an assessment tool, to allow them to go back. Randomized question, that would be more if you were doing, is it a test, but it's an option. Allow more than one attempt. So if they get it wrong, will you allow them to try again and answer it again? So those are all up to you. This one will, you can pick how many times they can redo the question. If it's a basic multiple choice, they'd probably figure it out after one, but if you want to give them 6 attempts, I mean, go crazy. You do you. But I like those advanced options because it gives them some, it gives you more choices, but if you don't click it, you won't know. So then I would normally continue to watch the video until I got to another spot, and then I decide, okay, I want to do another check here. So once the video gets up, add an interaction. Fill in the blank is kind of, I think this is the one I'm thinking of, can be a little bit weird. So if I want it to be fill in the blank, what is the, and if I want the blank to go here, the fill in the blank, you have to click on this little box with a right in it, and that's where it will put the fill in the blank. So you're not leaving spaces or anything. You're just clicking on the fill in the blank icon there, and it'll automatically leave the space for you. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. And then down here, you're going to type in what would be acceptable answers. So when I create my Schoology quiz a couple weeks ago, one of the biggest things that caused me and teachers a little bit of stress was the fill in the blanks, and they didn't match exactly what I had put as an option, but they were still not wrong. So you want to try to think of as many possible ways that they would type it in there, because if it doesn't match, then they're going to get it wrong. So sometimes it's just straightforward, and if it's just cat, it's cat. I mean, it is what it is. But if it's something that's bigger, you can put multiple. So all I have to do is separate the acceptable answers with a comma, and it will make all of those options available as correct answers. Oops. So you're going to put all of those in there. If there's multiple fill in the blanks, then you would have multiple places to do it, and you can do it all within there.
I really like that, Jen. I didn't know that. One of the biggest complaints that my boys have had doing Playposits with their teachers right now is that not just misspelling the word, but for example, in social studies, they would ask like who the dictator was, and all through the presentation, it was just saying like Stalin, but then she made the answer his first and last name, and then they would miss the question. And so I felt like they needed to have multiple options when they were doing that fill in the blank, because it just kept marking them wrong.
Right. So that is one way the teacher, or, you know, so you just put in as many options as you think. If there's a common misspelling, you could put that in there. Like the Stalin one, uppercase, lowercase, first name, last name first. Like you could put all of those in there just to try to avoid headaches with you and the students. The teacher can go in later and override right answers and mark them correct, but it just takes extra time, and the point of this is to have it self-grading, so you want to try to avoid those situations as much as you can. You can also do partial credit, which if you allowed partial credit, if they just had Stalin and not first and last name, it would give them at least partial credit instead of taking all of the credit away. What I wanted to bring your attention to were these two options down here that says jump if the answer to the question is correct, or jump if the question is incorrect. This will allow you to differentiate learning. You could ask a pre-assessment question here. If they're going to go on a big tangent about something, but you want to do a pre-check and see if they already know how to do this, you could put a question in here, and if they answer it correct, you can have them skip over that section of learning because they already understand it. And so I can come down here and say, you don't have to listen to the next 30 seconds, minute, 2 minutes of this video, because there's nothing more annoying than having to listen to something that you already know and losing half of the learners because of that. So that jump, if correct, will allow them to skip over the explanation of that if they already have it correct. You can also do it the opposite way and have jump if this is incorrect. So if they answer this question and they don't get it right, you can have it rewind for them and jump back, so they're forced to re-listen to how to do that. So if it was conjugate this verb and they don't know how to conjugate it, you can have it jump back so they have to re-listen to how to conjugate that verb. So that's kind of a neat little differentiation that you can use to help with that. So once it's done, you just click done and you can continue. I know one of the things that Leah was excited about was being able to use that voice in there so that you could speak to them in the language that you teach, and they're hearing your voice and they're hearing the question asked as you would have asked them the question in class. Excuse me. So you would just continue on inserting the questions throughout there. Excuse me. One of the things I would say when you are finished is to go back to the beginning and listen to the video again and listen to where those questions are at. Hold on one second. I have to cough again. I'm sorry about that. Water was necessary. All right, so listen to where they're at. So you might get to where a question is asked, and what I often do is realize that I was a little too quick to add the question and it's not exactly in the correct spot. If that happens, and like this first one I have at 18 seconds and I realize maybe it should be at 20 seconds and not 18 because I'm out of the question and it kind of overlaps with the instruction, I can come back to this question and click on the time And when I clicked on the time, let me show you that again. So all I did was I came up to the question and these different spots came. I can change it from a multiple choice into something else if I realize that wasn't the correct choice. You can change where the question is. Right now it'll show up in the sidebar just like it is in the question, but if I click on that, I can make it so that it shows up at the bottom of the screen instead, or the side of the screen. Wherever this blue box is where the question's gonna pop up. I like them on the side, so I'm gonna leave it like that. But if I need to change the time, right here where the time is grayed out, if I click on the time, this little bar now comes up and I can move where it's at. So I clicked on advanced, and so I can exactly pinpoint and not try to move that bar around and have it drive me crazy. And I can just type in that I want it to start at 20 and end at 20 because it's going to pause there, so it's fine. So if you click on advanced, you can click in exactly what time you want it to start and end at, so that you're not trying to move that little bar around to get it to the right spot. And so now I'm going to click done. Any questions about any of that? When you're finished with the interactions and you have all the questions in and you're pretty sure it's in the right place, at the top I'm going to click review. It's going to show me the title, so if I didn't change it earlier, if I want to change it now, I can add something to it. If I wanted to add that this was a week 1 video or something like that, you could add that there. I know the learning objectives for a lot of classes are really important right now, so if you needed to add what the learning objective was, you could type that in. You can add tags into it, you can do all of that. Playback options are sort of important. Allow learners to rewind. This is a teaching video for me, so I would allow them to rewind. And it will apply that to all of the interactions so that they can rewind when they get to a question. So if I just click there, I don't have to do it on each one of my questions. I can just circumvent all that here and just allow that. Allow them to skip interactions. We want the interactions there to do checks, so I wouldn't skip any, but if you deem that necessary, allow them to fast forward. That kind of defeats the purpose. Allow learners to retake the bulb. So if they do this and they bomb it and they want to try again, here in playback options is where you could have them, allow them to watch this bulb as many times as they want. So if they're really struggling with conjugating a verb or whatever you're trying to teach them, you want them to be able to watch it as many times as possible. Allow learners to view the printed report after. That's up to you. Allow the learners to increase playback speed. Some people like listening to it at 1.5 instead of at 1. It's up to you. I don't know how great that would be in foreign language, but there's that. And then down here is privacy. This will automatically make it so that your bulbs can be seen in that all Playposit pre-made bulbs and be shared with other people on Playposit and in the district. If you do not want to share yours and you don't want other teachers to be able to search and find it, then you need to come down to set your bulbs to private so that only your students can see it. If you're willing to share and everyone have access to it, then you make it public. That's all personal preference. You can have it so that just your school can see it, or just your district can see it, or the whole wide world. If you don't change privacy, it's automatically set to public, so everyone will be able to see it. So that's up to you. This is trash, so I'm gonna make it private because I don't want everyone to think I was serious. And so then I just hit save changes and save and exit. And it's thinking. Any questions about that creating stage? So before I move on to what to do with it now, I know that's kind of a lot if you've not done it. Do you guys want to take 10 minutes and play around with it, or you just want me to continue?
I feel comfortable with you continuing because I've made videos and played with Playposit before, but it's up to everybody else.
Yeah, you could continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I think so.
I just put a post in or a question in the chat that once you post the link, like, so if you realize that you could do something different, is it a live link for the students? Like, will it automatically
Yes.
update? Okay.
Yeah, it'll automatically update. It's a live link on their end.
Okay. Okay,
If you
cool.
change something, it'll change. But anyone who previously viewed it obviously saw that older version. So
Okay.
that's where you could run into some issues if you change it after the bulb's been made live.
Okay. Okay, cool.
All right. So once you come in and see your bulbs. All right, so there's that bulb that I just made. Once it's processed all the way, it'll show like a little mini picture of it, but it's not processed all the way, so it still has that Playposit dog picture there, which is fine. There are some actions here at the end. You always have multiple options. If you decide later that you need to edit something, or the kids tell you that they, whatever, and you need to change something, you can click it whenever. If you need to edit your settings, you can do that here. You don't need to assign from here, so you can just ignore this section if you're putting it into Schoology. But you can come here to export the analytics later if you want to have it make a copy of what the grades were or something. I usually don't have to mess with too much of that here. So to get it into Schoology, let me pull up Schoology. I'm going to do this inside of Lee and I's ITS course that you guys are all students in. So if you want to go see what the students see, because as I do this, you're going to see the teacher view. If you want to see what it looks like as a student, after I finish uploading it, you can go to the ITS course and see what it looks like for the students. Okay? So I'm coming to the Salem ITS course. Let me delete this real quick. I'm going to put it right at the top. Okay, let me not worry about that right now. Or I will. All right, so to add it to Schoology, sorry, I had a little squirrel moment. Sorry, that was my fault. I should have left it alone. All right, I'm going to click on the tots so that it shows up here at the top. In Schoology, we're going to add this as an external file. So you're going to go down to where it says File Link External Tool. Again, we're doing this as an external tool. So once those options come up, I'm going to click on External Tools. And at the top, tool provider will be Playposit. So I'm going to come down to Playposit 3.0. And you can give it a title. This title does not have to match what the title of it is in Playposit. So if this is Choice Board Activity 3, I can name it Choice Board Activity 3 if I want. It doesn't have to match. It can or it doesn't have to. I don't have to do anything else here. I could just hit submit. If you want this to be graded though in Schoology, you would click here. If you wanted to just assign this to certain students, it could be a remediation or an extension activity, and I could just assign it to the people in this group if I wanted to, and just click on who I wanted it to go to. So you do have the option of just assigning this to certain kids that need it or not. Just so you know that option's there. But all I really need to do is make sure the tool provider says Schoology and that it has a title. Not Schoology, that it says Playposit and that it has a title. Once I have those two things done, I'm going to hit submit. You are not finished yet. Right now, Playposit doesn't know which video I want it to show. I have about 30 things in Playposit. It has no idea which one. So once it shows up here, I have to click on the assignment. And I have to align it to the question or the video that I want it to go to, the bulb. So once I click on it, you see your view in Schoology, or in Playposit, I'm sorry. So I'm going to need to set the bulb link so that I'm linking Playposit to the bulb that I want it to link to. So you're going to click Set Bulb Link. Once I do this, it'll automatically create the class in Schoology. If there isn't already one in Playposit, it'll link the two so that there's the classes in there. Right, so once I have the bulb, here's the one I just created. You come, if you see where the S is for Schoology, you're going to go over that, and that's going to set the bulb link. You have to click wherever that S is. So whichever one of these videos I wanted to put there, I'm going to put the one I just made. I'm going to click on the S for Schoology, and it brings that video into this. We want it to be self-paced. If we were in school and I wanted everyone to do this at the same time, I could make it a live class. In this class, everybody's doing at the same class. For now, but an option. And so you're going to click self-paced, everyone on time, and then you click link. After you've done that, you're done. You don't have to do anything else. Monitor will take you to see the kids' report. I think it's easier to do in Playposit. So you create the assignment as an external tool, and then you click on it and come in and make it a self-paced assignment. Good there. I'm going to go to questions in just a second. One last thing. Just like Chief Warrant Officer to come in at the end. All right, so once it's in here, for example, this is the Playposit training video I've had in Schoology, and a bunch of people have looked at it. So if I wanted to go see how they did, I would click on classes. And then I can click on, I don't remember which one. Here are the bulbs that are in the Salem staff. And then there's the grade book. And there's things in there I need to go into grade. So if I click on whoever finished taking it, he's still in progress taking it. I can see where he's at and what he's done. Go back a second. You can also click on just gradebook. Click on the assignment. This one had some discussion questions that aren't self-grading. So many of these are, this is where the pause was. This is a multiple choice. This is a check all that apply, check all that apply. Some different ones. This one here was a fill in the blank though. So I can just grade everybody's fill in the blank at one time, which I've already done. But I can go in and just give them grades and see what they typed in as an answer. I think the last one was, do you have any more questions? So I can grade it, I can see what their question was, and then go back and answer those questions for them. But you can do that if you have any that aren't auto grade. If it was a discussion and you had them speak into it, you would see their responses there and be able to answer them. Once it's done, you just hit the save the grade and go back. So that's how you do that. In a second, let me get back into the chat. Sorry, I'm just reading the questions. Yes, it'll let, it doesn't let them see the correct answers after they've done it. It'll tell them if they were right or wrong. So at the bottom, anywhere that there was an interaction, if it was right, it turns green, and if it was wrong, it turns red. So they'll see how many they got right or wrong, but it won't correct it for them. Right, so do you guys have any other questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I am creating my assignments in the resources tab in Schoology. And when I go to add a resource and I hit add external tool, it doesn't have the options like you had, and it says add LTI link at the top of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't use resources as a place to do it for any external tools. If
Okay.
you want to create it somewhere that you just have a suppository, I always do that, repository, have a repository for those, I would use like your sandbox courses instead.
Okay.
Because resources doesn't always look exactly like and have all of the options.
Okay.
Like you can't put completion rules on a folder if you do it in resources. You need to do that in a course. But if you use your sandbox as that place, you can always move it to your resource section after.
Okay.
Created it in your sandbox, but I would do the creating in your sandbox instead.
Okay. And so then once we add it into our courses and we set up the Playposit site should automatically create the course?
Yeah, it'll automatically create the class in Playposit. One thing to remember though is if you're doing it and then pulling it into a class, you'll have to go into each individual class and click on the assignment and set the self-pace in each class. It's kind of like a Google Drive assignment in that it doesn't move with the assignment to relink it to that class because it's individually creating a class for each course, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions? I would say while this is fresh on your mind, go into these apps and try something sometime this week. The sooner the better, so that it's all still fresh in your head. And as you're getting questions or running into issues, send me a message or pop into my office hours so that we can do it over our Google Meet. And I'd be happy to. I wouldn't wait too long though, because you're gonna forget. There was a lot of things we just talked about in the last hour. So I don't want you to wait too long and then get frustrated.
Jen, where are you going to post this link in case we want to go back and watch sections of the video again?
I don't want to put it in the staff course because I don't want people to get confused and think it was an option or something.
Okay.
So I'll put it in the ITS course, and I'll put it right at the top where I put this. So if you want to go in and look at that one that I just did, it's here. I'll put the recording right here, right below it.
Okay.
So that you can rewatch this if you need to.
I feel like I might need to go back just right there at the end where we were trying to load it into Schoology and maybe follow those steps again.
Yeah.
If I walk it through once or twice, I'll probably be good.
Yeah, so you can just fast forward it to the last 15 minutes and then you should be good. Clear as mud. It's a very powerful tool. There's lots of options. It's very cool. It's worth taking the time, I think, especially for a foreign language and catering classes, cooking classes, things where you need to demo things. It's going to be really helpful, I think. But there are, with any powerful tool, there is a learning curve. So that's there.
Yeah, no, that was really, really helpful. Because I didn't realize it connected so well and you didn't have to create your classes, and
yeah, very nice.
That's really cool.
I had a former student, he's going to be on CHOP later on this week, but he made
saw
a video. It's so exciting. He was on there not even 2 years ago and he won. And Marcus Samuelson is funding him. He's opening a restaurant in Florida. He's opened a few for Marcus across the country since he was on the Taste and he won at Chopped. But now Tristan's going to have his own restaurant and they're backing him. So, but he's got a little bit of time on his hand right now. So he made a video for me and he even starts it with like, Mr. Ludicus has asked me, da 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 da. And he's doing, and it's 22 minutes long, but he breaks down a whole fish and then shows them a couple different ways to cook it. So I wanted to, and he sent it to me, it's in a Dropbox, but I wanted to somehow pull it in, be able to turn it into a Playposit and like pause it and put in some questions so as they watch it.
Yeah.
Doing my seafood unit until like the end of May. So it gives me a little bit of time to kind of pull his video in and work with it.
Yeah, just download it from that Dropbox so that it's not in the Dropbox anymore, and then you should be fine.
That's what I made my first note on was here, download from the Dropbox, get it out of there. Because I was trying to think of a way to get it into my choice board. And I had thought about playing it while I was on Zoom where I could just like pause the video and then make some comments and then, keep going and put the link to the Zoom. But I'm worried that won't be an option for us after we get back to school, and I'll